that's the UN Assembly Hall, and within this building, it's the typical UN building where you see placards of countries. You see a country named Germany, a placard for Germany, one for France, and you see that those chairs are empty. Most of the assembly hall, where their respective nations are, is empty.
Okay.
You look around and you recognize a face. You see Seeker standing by a man in powered armor.
And as I pass by him, I'll point at him like a like a shoot sign, and then give him a thumbs up, and walk on.
I'll give him a solid nod as he passes.
You see Sovereign turn and notice it. You see guys, and you see what if it looked like Sovereign nodded to himself, like, oh, that's the guy. That's what he just did. Like it's almost like recognition comes across Sovereign's face, almost like he just tore through your mind and found out who Black Mamba was before you ever saw him, and now he's got a face to put to it. All right. So the UN meeting starts, and not the UN meeting, the WWRO meeting starts, and speakers come up. You hear American representatives coming out that represent their individual states, and their state calls for, we need to purify, we need to attack now. America has at its disposal enough nuclear weapons to, together with Japan and UK, to level out the rest of the world, the Middle East, Europe, Africa, India. Their states want to turn everything into a radioactive wasteland, just like Australia. Meanwhile, other representatives come up and lobby against it, claiming nothing's happened for years. We've stuck to our own. Isolationism is working. America still operates on its own. Yes, we don't get to import and export like we used to. Yes, life is different, but we're not committing genocide. We're not, and that argument goes on. Eventually, that representative sits down. Finally, you see Sovereign get up to speak, and the whole area, the whole UN building kind of quiets as he steps up, and he's got a cloak on now. So on top of that black powered armor, he's got a cloak, and it just kind of magnifies his majesty. And he comes up to the microphone and turns it aside, and his voice from his power helmet is loud enough for everyone in the building to hear him without the use of a mic. He says, "Good evening, America, and the rest of the world. It is with great pleasure that I speak today, not only on behalf of my country, but for every country not fortunate enough to be with us. I have been in the States for only but a few hours, and already I have heard the cries of your people, and dare say understand them better than you overpaid representatives. They fear the world, rightly so. My own country is under constant attack from 3 fronts. To the north, I have aliens bombarding my borders. To the west, machines. To the south, demons, not unlike those described in the Bible. Yet Caravas remains, because we're not isolationists, because we attack. Our border is not a defense. Our border is a line that grows constantly day by day. I am reclaiming, I guess that would be Asia. Asia. He says, I am reclaiming Asia.
Eurasia?
Or the Baltics.
Yeah, the Baltics, yeah. He says, I am reclaiming Asia for humanity. He looks around and says, this whole meeting, this WWRO meeting, it's supposed to be about the world. However, I have not heard a single piece of information about countries outside your own. And I believe it's because you don't know. You don't know what is happening in Europe in these last 2 years. You don't know what is happening in the Middle East. Let me tell you. I'll start with India. You believe that a virus is killing, is rampaging and killing everyone. Let me tell you now that has succeeded. The only people that now live in India are the people that are immune to it. The virus has run its course, however, it is still there. And what you now have there is a bunch of scared people, a bunch of people that were asking for help, turned to America, turned to Europe, turned to my own country, and no one helped them. So what does mankind do in this situation? They get angry. India now is a home to a bunch of diseased extremists who believe that they are destined to wreak retribution upon the world. They are currently weaponizing that virus that desolated their own country. And you hear murmuring from the UN building as people start muttering to themselves, wide eyes everywhere. Um, he describes that the demons are constantly completing rituals to bring more of their kinds into this world. He says Africa is beginning to unite under anarchy of a warlord. Um, Europe is becoming more sophisticated. Their machines are becoming more clever. You are all fools to believe if you think their grasps only end at the border of Europe. I would not be surprised if there is a machine sitting with us in this room today. He says the alien fights to my north of my country are reaching a crescendo. Soon a victor will be determined, and soon there will only be one kind of alien in Russia. And when that type of alien that has no other aliens to fight, who is he going to turn on? The rest of the world. He reaches down and kind of lets that sink down, and you see him reach down and grab a bottle of water, and his helmet opens as he drinks it, and you see within it, it's just a human. And he drinks the bottle of water just real calmly. You see that it's kind of war scarred, and it looks like it's just a really professional looking man, almost like what you would expect, like a veteran special ops military fighter to look like. And he's got gray streaks in his beard, and he's got a shaved bald head. He takes a drink of the water and he puts it down, and the helmet covers itself back up. He says, "Your people call for a cleansing of the world, and I cannot agree with them more." And he says, "America has the technology to end the terror in the Middle East, to end the machines in Europe." And he just goes on to list the other terrors. And he says, "On behalf of the rest of the world and my country, I beg you, unleash the nukes." And he steps off the stage, and the UN or the WWRO meeting is left in muttering, just muttering amongst themselves. The next representative that comes up is Agent Samuelson from the WWRO. He gets up and he introduces himself and says, "I believe that some enlightenment is deserved after that triad." He says, and he looks over at Sovereign. He says, "There are still resistant fighters in Europe. Men and women just like ourselves trying to fight to rid themselves of the machine. In Russia, there are still resistant fighters. In the Middle East, Jerusalem still stands. Africa are just every bit as human as we are, and you say that they deserve to get nuked." He shakes his head. He says, "In Australia, where we have cleansed before, as you would say, it did not help the problem. My contacts tell me that something in Australia still stirs, and it's not friendly. I propose a new solution to this problem, something to ensure a balance of power, something to bring an end to these apocalypses." He says, "I believe a special organization could be used to take out these apocalypses and in a domino effect, end them all." Without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage Black Mamba.
Okay, Mamba will stand up, walk to the podium. And inside his helmet, he's got like a little monitor that actually has the his speech written out. Thanks to Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm. Um, and basically, he begins, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Worldwide Relief Organization, citizens from around all the countries from around the world. My name is Black Mamba. For years, I have worked through actions both covert and not to fortify North America from the forces that seek our destruction. It has been an arduous task. The enemies of humanity are many and strong. I have seen great men and women fall before me, sacrificing themselves for ours, the human race. They died knowing that in doing so, liberty would have at least one more dawn. They did not die in vain. Because of them, there's so many brave and wonderful people who put themselves before danger to safeguard the lives of those they love and cherish. North America has remained a symbol of humanity's endurance. I stand before you today to announce the end of defense to North America. We will no longer defend, we will attack. The world belongs to us, to humanity. Because the sacrifices of so many brought us a stable base of operations, we are able to go on the offense. A team of the most qualified, talented, and extraordinary men and women is being formed to take back planet Earth, whole and intact. From Asia to Africa, South America to Europe, people have held their own, alone, against the invaders. These small groups, in the spirit of great human resistance, have fought valiantly against overwhelming forces. They have done this without our aid, without the assistance of anyone or anything, yet armed with human ingenuity and bravery, they have endured under the most arduous conditions. We owe it to them to take the fight to the enemy. We owe it to them to fight back and bring back our homeland so they may live in peace and harmony. In December 26, 1941, a great man spoke to Congress. His nation had just overcome great odds. Soon, with the help of the United States, they'd be on the offense to conquer one of the greatest regimes, evil regimes, known to man. That day, after the United States had lost so much from Pearl Harbor only 19 days before, he said this: "Sure I am that this day, now we are the masters of our fate, that the task which has been set us is not above our strength, that its pangs and toils are not beyond our endurance. As long as we have faith in our cause and an unconquerable willpower, salvation will not be denied us." In the words of the psalmist, he shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord. That man was Winston Churchill. His enemy was Nazi Germany. Despite the odds, his nation survived, endured, and overcame. The results of World War II are known to us all. The time for defending against that evil that has infested our world is over. No longer are we the cowering victims of a world gone mad. Today, we are the masters of our fate. Today, we bring the fight to the enemy. God willing, we will not tire. We will not quit. We will stand firm until our home is free. This I swear, that no matter how painful the task, the team that is to be formed will never back away from the enemy. We will never back down. We will be victorious. And with that, he turns around and sits down.
Yeah! Badass! Oh, yeah.
So Samuelson comes back up and says, "Thank you, Black Mamba." And the whole UN is stirred. However, do you got oratory, Black Mamba, trained as a skill?
Probably not.
All right, so this is the first time you've spoken in front of in front of a group of people, first of many. And normally we would allow like oratory role to see how well you convinced them. However, you don't have the skill, so we're not going to do that. You know that this is probably the first speech of many, and that you'll probably have to grow to encompass that duty. Um, so Samuelson stands up, takes the podium, and says, "Thank you, Black Mamba. I move the leaders of the world to make a new type of organization, an organization that transcends all of our companies, greater than America, greater than the UK, greater than Japan, greater than Caravast. I move that we give this organization international police powers, and that we support them in endeavors. What is that word? Endeavors. Yeah, support them in their endeavors, and not to hinder them. If this organization should come within our own country's borders, we do what we can to assist them. We allow them to operate discreetly and without, what's a good word? Without, oh, I guess without hindering. I've already used that word, but whatever. Um, he says, I move that we create the organization known as N.O.M.A.D.S under the leadership of Black Mamba. And he steps down off the podium, and the World Council continues. And they vote on this notion. Should an organization known as N.O.M.A.D.S exist, or should we bomb the living over crapping out, just bomb the Middle East, bomb Europe? And there's a lot of harumph, as Steve would put it, harumph, 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 as the council continues. But eventually, it makes a decision that they would like to see what an organization known as the N.O.M.A.D.S could accomplish within the next 2 years. And if they make progress against the apocalypses of the world, then to allow them to continue. If anything, this World Council is put together to stave off the annihilation of multiple countries. So with the forming of the team known as N.O.M.A.D.S, the future looks a little bit brighter.